settle down. Let's see. We are reviewing today. Let's have a quick look. Doctor Who, the Eighth Doctor Adventures, the new box set that was released in 2022. And it's Eighth Doctor, What Lies Inside, new box set, coming up with a new format. Most of the main ranges have gone into strange states. They'd really become one-part stories, then after a while they became little trilogies, like across the month. So like January, February, March, you have like a Fifth Doctor story kind of spread across those. And the Eighth Doctor range is taking a different direction as well. For the previous few years, it had been in 4 box sets, 4 discs each, spread across those stories. And they, particularly with the Eighth Doctor, they would be very heavily interlocked and one large spanning story arc. So you could not just purchase one story individually, like episode B out of like A, B, C, D. You couldn't just get one single one of those. And if you did, it would be like walking into the, like 2/3 into a movie. So to really get the full image, like you really need to purchase the box set for like Dark Eyes, Doom Coalition, Ravenous, Stranded. All of those were 4-part box sets, and so they kind of want to shake things up with this new introduction. Still having the main team that they have with the Eighth Doctor, played by Paul McGann, played brilliantly. There are no complaints at all with performances at all on this box set. Why I keep holding this, not only because I kind of want to show what it is. If I had the other disc with me right now, they make up a little connected symbol, so it's basically the reflected image of the Doctor, Liv, Helen, and this little circle icon here. When you have the other mirrored image, it makes the Gallifrey symbol on the front. In case you didn't know, the Doctor was a Time Lord from Gallifrey, and you're not at all familiar with Doctor Who or anything like that, and you just stumble across Big Finish releases that are probably more expensive than your average paycheck. Anyway, about this release, I'm not going to go into in-depth review about it because you can find other ones of those online. I just want to give you a quick synopsis, and from my point of view, I'm someone who has digested a lot of Big Finish material. A big fan of their audio dramas, not just Doctor Who, but lots of different ranges in there. Big Lakes of a Nerd as well. I mean, let me pull up my webpage here while we're not doing too much. And for that, I'm probably at least around 1,000, if not more, of downloads that I've actually purchased from Big Finish. So yes, I have spent a lot of money and time invested into this company, and alright, let's see, my account, yes, there was 957 available downloads, and that's not including all of the ones that I have pre-ordered, so that will probably be close to 1,000 pretty soon. And yes, those are just the ones that I have with my own hard-earned money, legally purchased myself. Now, I may have obtained some others over the years through some other forms. Here is not really the format that I want to get into debating the ethics of media piracy. I will say it has its pluses in that there are some things like, for instance, I have one right here. Okay, we'll go with BBV, Audio Adventures. Very difficult to find if you don't pirate them, and even more rare to even just come across them on eBay or something. The other day I looked at some Faction Paradox books. They're selling for about $500, $600 in the United States. And there's like only 2 copies and stuff. Some of these things are really only available through piracy. So that is why I would promote them in that sense. But otherwise, if you can pay for something, please do. Because no one likes having their things ripped off, and some people work harder at their jobs than others, but basically people work hard for this, and they can't put out any content if they're not getting any money to actually make it. It's I don't really need to explain that. What I will explain is this set to you. So yes, a new rebranding, somewhat, for this TARDIS team. The Eighth Doctor has had a slew of other companions, but he's been with Liv and Helen for a few good years now. Some feel that they've run their course. They've spent enough time with the Eighth Doctor and kind of needs to move on. This set is both a financial decision and somewhat of a creative decision to move it into a different direction that may be more digestible to new viewers and also to be more accessible slightly financially as well. Because this is what they consider to be a jumping on point for new listeners, viewers, what have you. The Eighth Doctor, if you know much about his history, was only in the television movie, which wasn't that great. Paul McGann was great in it. There are many great things about that, but was it a great film? No. Was it one of Doctor Who's best moments? No, 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 no. Was Paul McGann returning in the 50th anniversary, a mini episode, Night of the Doctor, one of Doctor Who's best moments? Yes. Yes. Affirmative. Yes, it was. Paul McGann is great. He is fantastic on audio, and probably what I would say his audio content and through Big Finish has made him one of my favorite Doctors. And for someone who's really only gotten that much credit, that is saying quite a bit. And there are 2 stories within this set. That's how they're releasing these. Instead of 4 stories to a box set, you're roughly being charged the same amount, and you are receiving 3 stories. Now, in this one, you're only receiving 2. So I'm also weighing that against them, because they decided to give us a 2-part story, and the 2 parts are, let's go here. I already know what they are, but just so you can have a little idea and glimpse, it is Paradox of the Daleks, Parts 1 and 2, by John Dorney. John Dorney, writing for the 8th Doctor. On paper, this sounds bloody fantastic. He has written, hands down, some of the best Big Finish material. Definitely some of the best for the 8th Doctor. He has a really good tone for Paul McGann, how the 8th Doctor should be, his different moods, how his companions interact with him, and honestly, like, that's a good place, like, to really hook new listeners onto, like, you know, if they can't afford it, there are different jumping on points that I would start rather than this box set. This, I feel, is not John Dorney's best work. It is among the lowest, sad to say. Did I enjoy the first story on here? There are basically 2 stories. It is for What Lies Inside, the little umbrella title that they're giving for this is Paradox of the Daleks, Parts 1 and 2. Part 1 is a real story. It's more of a setup story. It roughly has the Daleks in it. Not much of a spoiler there. This review is not going to include much spoilers. But the problem is that I listened to this in my car. And so I just spread it across 2 discs. Now I'm driving to my friend's place. Disc 2, second story, is like 2 to 3 minutes of storytelling. And the rest of it is pure exposition through the format of storytelling. I did not find it enjoyable. Your mileage, of course, may vary, and you might find this type of thing fascinating, but it's more like watching the behind the scenes or how did they do it, how did they complete these special effects, rather than it is of a fun kind of timey-wimey paradox, which is very much what we usually get from the Eighth Doctor ranges, to be honest. I mean, Ravenous, Doom Coalition, those were like the top dogs when it comes to your real-time paradox ones that go great with the Eighth Doctor, his companions that like just fire off back at him like really well. Their chemistry is great. There is no complaints in this set about that. If anything, the one complaint, or at least noticeable difference, is that the Eighth Doctor takes a little bit more of a backseat role in these, and what they're trying to sell this also as a bit as not only just from the behind-the-scenes interviews, is that this is the first time Liv, Helen, the other companion, has ever encountered the Daleks. And so this could be kind of a new introductory way to see how, like, this new companion, like, takes on them as, you know, a reoccurring villain. That's not what you get out of this story. It's really not. If, I don't care what other reviews will tell you, listen to this story and you tell me if you felt like you got a satisfied Dalek story. And if you think what Helen knows of the Daleks, give me one or two sentences. Nothing. Because I'm drawing a blank. That said, I did enjoy the first part, but this is very much one of the greatest writers for Big Finish, John Dorney's worst works ever. And maybe it works for you, but it certainly doesn't work any better than his other pieces. This is not moving by any means. It is not sentimental. It is not going to touch you. It is not going to change your life for the better. It's going to, I think, kind of waste a few hours of it. On the other hand, this box set is not without its good aspects. By Lauren Mooney and Stuart Pringle, we have the second story on the box set, third disc, The Dalby Spook. Woo! And it is quite enjoyable. Very different soundscape. Very different soundscape, especially for the Eighth Doctor, particularly for the Eighth Doctor, this range, and with these companions. The soundscape on the Eighth Doctor is quite notable, particularly in the more story arc heavy Doom Coalition and Ravenous box sets. You get a particular sense of what the Eighth Doctor's era might look and sound like, because it really supplements those for lack of visuals, really great soundscape. And for the episode, The Dalby Spook, we were given a very fresh location. This feels much more like a monster or alien, a monster of the week type story. And pretty good. We haven't gotten that out of the Eighth Doctor. Not for a long time. Really not since the Lucy Miller adventures. And those have only been with Lucy Miller. There have not been a whole lot of Eighth Doctor solo stories. So while this one is not the greatest, it has a pretty nice feel to it. I think it's certainly more engaging and more entertaining than the first story. The Daleks, like, not that that one was bad, but certainly when you put these two next to each other, as that's all you have on this very set, the Dalby Spook is the winner. And that's what we need more of, is more solo stories with the Eighth Doctor and this TARDIS team, if that's who that they want to keep. Liv and Helen are great, and maybe they have run their course, and maybe it is time to bring in new, fresh blood, older companions, and just shake it up a little bit. But for what you get on here, I think the introduction to more episodic individual storytelling is definitely what's needed and what we get a taste of here. So it's okay if you're a bit like me and you weren't super into that first Base Under Siege Dalek story. Half a story, but for the price of 2 to 4 stories. Um, anyway, John Dorney is great. This one wasn't. There's not a whole lot more that I can say. I don't want to harp on it. Um, but yeah, I think this was an enjoyable release for sure. Was it one of the better ones? No, no. Um, there were a few episodes along the box set in Stranded recently that I did not think were very good. Um, but the more episodic ones, the ones that didn't take place over the story arc, were quite good. And then there were some that just took place in that very heavy story arc throughout Stranded that were good as well. It's getting harder and harder to tell with the 8 Factor range on its own what people actually enjoy about it and what's doing better. But we've had so many very heavy story arc box sets now over the last 10 years. And that while I very much enjoy those, that is the main type of storytelling I enjoy. I think having these more standalone ones is really what's going to sell it for this range, and I think what more people will enjoy. And I hope you will too. Thanks.